So we learnt today that state governments are going to be allowed to put a safety net under their power systems with whatever they wish. If they wanted to go nuclear, they can do it. If they want to do gas, they could. But then in the fine print, guess what actually happened today, Matt? They said coal was the answer.
Yes, everybody is recognising, Paul, that coal is the new black. It's back in fashion. I noticed in your editorial there you're a bit concerned, Paul, about the Greens dominating the parliament and being in charge, but I'm trying to think on the positive side here, because over there in Germany, a Green government is turning on coal-fired power stations. So who knows? Don't write off the Greens just yet here in Australia. Before you know it, by Christmas, the Greens could be calling for coal-fired power here in Australia, because we are not going to continue to keep our lights on, keep our manufacturing industry alive, unless we have reliable power. Renewables aren't there. They're not ready for prime time.
Cory,
we're investing more in Australia in renewables than anywhere else in the world, and yet we've got all of these failures. So, look, hopefully people see the lights soon, because otherwise the lights are going to go off.
Yeah, well, can we get to Matt Kean, who, of course, is both the Treasurer and the bloke in charge of how the power works in New South Wales, which, of course, means that he moves all the money to making sure it goes as green as possible without there being enough storage technology that actually exists right now. The world doesn't have a big enough battery for what they're planning to do. But here are what the lefties are saying.
Well, of course, our plan is designed to integrate with the proposals being put forward by the Energy Security Board. We want to make sure that we do everything that we can to keep the lights on.
Our position has consistently been that the priority should be given to and preference should be given to renewable energy. At the same time, though, I'm the first to acknowledge, and indeed our government has acted in recognition of the fact that coal and gas are still part of our mix.
No, Cory, it's a beautiful thing to see.
Oh, they're rewriting history, Paul, and I have to say it is so frustrating, because for a long time, people like Matt Canavan have been out there saying we cannot survive in this country without coal and gas, and we need to get them online. And now these people, Keans, the Dan Andrews, every lefty who's been pushing us down the renewable path, including some of the Liberal Party federally, are now having to eat their words and try and pretend that they've always enjoyed coal. It's just fantastic. We should just use it as baseload while we're transitioning to renewables. Well, you know, I despair if that's political leadership in this country. We are in for a world of trouble going forward, Paul.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. All right, so let's talk about the Greens being in greater power. You both have seen them in the parliament and see how they operate. Matt, again, we saw today, Adam Bant says, I'm not going to stand in front of the Australian flag. It's, you know, of course, a symbol of hurt and all the rest of that business. But again, willing to sit inside the power structure, willing to take the money, willing to sit in a position to be able to pass the laws. But no, that symbol, which of course is enshrined in law, as PC pointed out to us earlier in the night, expertly as always. But fair dinkum, these people, give us a preview. Nothing can happen without them plus either the Lambie 2, but most likely the Pocock 1.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right, Paul, as you've outlined earlier tonight. The Labor Party are going to have to negotiate with other parties to get things through the Senate. Almost invariably, they will often negotiate with the Greens or David Pocock to get to their majority. They can get a majority by just getting those parties over the line. Really, what we've got to be clear about here is that the Labor Party does not have a mandate. They've been elected with the lowest primary vote ever for any government. They've themselves achieved, if that's the right word, the lowest vote for the Labor parties since 1910, since before both World Wars. They do not have a mandate here. 2/3 of Australians voted for other parties, not the Labor Party, and they've got a choice. The Labor Party and Anthony Albanese have a choice here. Do they negotiate with the radical, anti-Australian, won't stand behind us, Australian, won't stand in front of an Australian flag Greens, or will they vote with the coalition and come abroad to a more sensible position on these issues? So let's see. Let's see when the Parliament gets back. But I've got no shame in sitting in front of here, the Australian flag. If I could reach behind there, Paul, I'd hug it like Donald Trump. I love it that much.
Oh, correct. So